want to know more about the sports that you played in your childhood.
So the sports that that I felt like I was, I excelled at were track and field, football, and also weightlifting. During school, it was great because they were really it was really part of the school. So we would end up having like academics and also athletics that went hand in hand. And, during track and field when I was younger, I really liked throwing the shot put and the discus. And one of the things that's that you do in that sport is you have to be involved in some sort of weight training regimen, which allows you to have more strength to be able to throw the implement further. And so it really ended up helping me have an appreciation for those tools of weight training that I still engage in today. And also, that it was track and field is more of an individual sport, but I also had exposures to team sports like football, which definitely carry a different dynamics, a different dynamic, but allows you to end up in terms of developing other skills as well in that social environment where you're participating on a team goal to try to end up in terms of excelling the team and the players as far as possible. And so I really liked both of those dynamics, and I felt like they ended up in terms of helping me to understand sports, both individual sports and team sports, much better.
Mm-hmm. I definitely understand that, like going from having these high school sports and learning these different dynamics, whether you're by yourself doing, or whether you're like on a football team, you definitely have to use those skills in real life and kind of transfer those over. About kind of the state that we're in society right now, there is a lot going on in terms of racial injustice all over. Um, and you have an interesting kind of background with Black history in Canada. Can you tell me more about that?
Oh, definitely. I was heavily influenced in terms of, our family history, which ends up in terms of being one of the pivotal times in history, known as the time of the Underground Railroad. And my father, Dr. Brian E. Walls, he ended up in terms of being a very big influence on me because of his involvement in social justice. He's also, received the Order of Ontario and the Order of Canada for his work on social justice, and he developed and what's called the John Freeman Walls Historic Site and Underground Railroad Museum, which is in Puce Maidstone, just outside of Windsor, Ontario. The beautiful thing about the historic site was it gave me an opportunity to understand my family's histories and their struggles, but also be learning from that to end up in terms of realizing, what's the best path to move forward and what efforts are required so that you don't relive past in terms of past injustices. Our family, the Underground Railroad and John Freeman Walls Underground Railroad, ended up, starting from, South America, in terms of the south of the Americas, and ended up migrating through the Underground Railroad to Maidstone Township, where that place, the John Freeman Walls Historic Site, is one of the actual terminals of the Underground Railroad. And the beautiful opportunity that I had was that we would have in terms of a lot of people come to the site, and I would end up in terms of giving tours where I would end up in terms of discussing, the journey that slaves had to take from America all the way into Canada, which is actually not just, Black history, but it's all of our history. And one of the wonderful opportunities that I had during that time was also to meet the mother of the civil rights movement, Miss Rosa Parks, who would attend the historic site regularly until she ended up passing away in 2005. So it was a wonderful opportunity that I had to meet her, and I just could see the love on her face, and that was a very, very paramount moment for me, because it also ended up in terms of allowing me to realize that despite in terms of all of the social injustice that can occur, that it's still our responsibility to end up in terms of trying to do it to bring about change in a loving way. And bringing about that change in a loving way is what the historic site is about. It's about, not just bringing, discussing, the journey that slaves took, but also the help that they had from both black and white, different faces and races, all working together to end up in terms of for a common good. And so this ended up serving as one of the principles that I like to end up in terms of living by if I'm ever experiencing any challenges. I try to end up remembering that it's my responsibility to respect others, but also to end up in terms of trying my best if I'm to bring about change, to become the best that I can be, to try to be a leader in the community, but doing it on the platform of love and mutual respect.